the 10 o'clock hour. In future calls, I might have a little slideshow playing in the background. I might have some music going as well. But for today, I'm just doing you get the raw behind the scenes, the real stuff that's going in here. I'm going to turn off, oh, there it goes, it's working. I'm going to turn off the doorbell chime. I like it when it dun dun, like when you come in, but then when they leave, it's like dun dun dun, like they didn't like you. Like in my head, that's what I hear. So I gotta turn that off. So y'all know what I'm talking about. If you're running a Zoom call when people leave, you're like, oh, is it not good? It's good. It's good stuff on here. All right, I want to go ahead and get us started here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you are located and when you are watching this, whether live or in playback. My name is Brenda Meller, and I am your host for today's. This is our very inaugural, I guess, the very first session that we're doing this. This is our VIP office hours for those that are considering self-employment. And by way of background, I used to do this event starting during the pandemic, actually. I did this weekly for people who are job seekers, and I called it VIP job seeker office hours. And there was a point in time where we actually did this every single Friday for months and then years. We were doing this for every single Friday. And I started to bring people along with me, people like Christopher Johnson and Diana Stevens, Mindy Stern, Linda Brubaker, Kenneth Lang, who helped me to run the calls. And I deemed them my all stars. They would help to answer questions as people were coming into the group. We ended up um, pulling back the frequency, we ended up going monthly. And when you are self-employed, you always got to be paying attention to where the market's going and also your bottom line for your business. For me, I tend to serve individuals who are self-employed, small business owners, getting started on their own, executives of organizations. I do team training, I do profile optimizations, etc. And then I've also always had a subset of my offerings for job seekers that are in career transition, especially during the pandemic. So many people were being laid off. I wanted to help and I wanted to give back. And I rolled out some job seeker offerings, and they've had some success. I would say limited success. Ultimately, my goal is to stay self-employed. And when you are self-employed, you don't have a boss looking at your sales reports and your bottom line saying, that's not working. You shouldn't do that anymore. Or why don't you do more of that? Because that's driving in more revenue for your business. You also don't have somebody saying things like, why are you giving everything away for free? You should be charging this, right? So you have to start paying attention to where you want to grow and evolve for your business. And then you have to start making some decisions about where it makes the most sense to spend your time and effort based on your goals. So if you have a goal of growing your business, maintaining your business, creating more predictability with your income, for many of you, you might have retainer clients. You know that money's coming in month after month. As long as you're doing a good job, you know that money's coming in month after month. You might have project revenue, which is great in the months that you sell a lot, and then you have softer months where things aren't going as well. So I've decided to take a step back from serving the job seeker market, job seekers in career transition looking for another job. There are people out there, this is solely what they do, and we've actually got a few of them that are joining us here. I'm going to have them introduce themselves in a moment. But for me, I think focusing on too many segments was, both splitting my messages. So sometimes I'm speaking to job seekers, sometimes I'm speaking to VPs of marketing and sales. So splitting my message was a little bit of a challenge. But also when I started looking at my bottom line, where the revenue growth was supporting my business goals was more in individuals who are self-employed and also individuals of corporations. So if you are here because you are job seeking and in career transition, I just want to let you know this call is not for you. If you're looking for help finding a new job, there are many other individuals that are offering those office hour opportunities for you and free events and webinars and things like that. But today's focus is going to be dedicated for those of you who are maybe in career transition considering self-employment. And today's format, we're going to start with some introductions from individuals I deem to be all-stars in self-employment. These are individuals who maybe chose that path instead of looking for a job to create their own business. And I want to ask them to raise their hands. I'm going to ask each of them to introduce themselves. You know who you are. So go ahead and raise your hands. Christopher, Diana, Kenneth, Mindy, Carol Ward. I'm going to include you in that group as well because I know you do some work in you are self-employed yourself and you do that. So Carol, raise your hand if you'd like to introduce yourself as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull you up on screen, and we're going to do this in groups of 4. So let me just do this right now. I'm going to pull up Mindy next. Whoops. I don't want to change the host. Sorry. Linda, let me add the spotlight there and then add the spotlight. So I'm going to put it in groups of 4, and then you're just going to rotate to the next person. When you introduce yourself, I would encourage you to tell people your name, tell us the name of your business, what do you do, who do you help, and if you have any links or resources, feel free to drop them into the chat. Now, one other thing, know if I even have my right placard here. I don't know if Sue Griffey is here. Oh, yes, I do. So Sue Griffey bought me these little wavy things. So this event is being live streamed to YouTube and recorded, and it's also going on my podcast. So it's going to be my podcast episode that will drop on like Monday or Tuesday of last week. So this is public. If you don't want to share anything because you're still working but thinking about self-employment, or you don't want people to know you're here, don't talk. Just put your camera on mute and you will be quiet and in the background. All right, so we're going to do introductions first from those all-stars that I just named off. And then Christopher Johnson, you should be raising your hand, sir. Why are you in here? All right. And also, for those of you who are all-stars, help me to watch chat just to make sure we don't get any crazy things going on in there. If you see anything that's inappropriate, you don't need to ask me. Just push the person out of the room. Okay, I'll make you co-host as well as we do that. All right, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Kenneth, and we'll do our introductions. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Kenneth Lang. For the last few years, I've been working on a project called My Networking Central, which is a searchable database of events and speakers and groups. And I think it's so important to have one place to find things. And that was a labor of love, which then became a monetary stream. The biggest challenge that I had, and Brenda's alluded to it, is that you are your own boss and you have to have control of the situation. I had some challenges recently with a webmaster, and I realized that it was something I needed to take more ownership of. I made too many assumptions. And I think as small business owners, we make those assumptions all the time. I do support job seekers, but it's not a revenue stream. And I think one of the things going into anything is knowing what is a revenue stream versus what is something that you want to pay it forward with. And one of the things I stopped doing a while ago was a lot of free events, except for people that are in my network per se. And I've gotten some paid events from there just by kind of putting my foot down. You know, if you have my information, that's great. It's free. And one of the things I'm anxious to get from this call is to get a sense from other people what some of the challenges you have, as well as what some of the challenges that you may have deciding what to do. I mean, I've been a self-employed person for like the last 10, 15 years as a consultant, going from gig to gig. So that kind of got me into the mindset of doing this on my own. So my biggest takeaway is think about what you want to do. It's okay to fail and try things out, but be sure you know exactly what you want to do, and don't try to duplicate everything that's out there, because you're going to just find yourself going down a whole rabbit hole. So Brenda, thank you very much for this call. Great to be back after 2 weeks in Florida, by the way. That's the other great thing about being self-employed. You can take vacation anytime you want to. So Linda, take it away.
Hi, everybody. I'm Linda Brubaker, and I've been an entrepreneur for years, self-employed. For a while, I did it as an HR consultant. I was outsourcing people's HR departments for small businesses. In 2008, that pandemic, or that recession, okay, really knocked that business out of the way. My clients who were on retainer decided that they could no longer afford it, which forced me to go into different directions, which is a good thing, because what it helped me do was focus in on the things that I really enjoy doing, rather than just those things that other clients wanted. And the goal of self-employment is to find that nexus, that spot between what you like doing and what clients want. And so that's what my niche is. When I work with job seekers, it's helping them to discover what their skill set is, and then how they can leverage those for their next role, to hire their next boss. For the entrepreneurs, for those who are self-employed, whether they are doing it long-term or short-term, this goal is the same. It's to build on the things that you like, to leverage those skills that you have to build that career. And that's what my skill set is helping you to determine, what those skills are, and then leverage those careers. So I'm going to put my information in the chat. I do a lot of work with job seekers, but I'm also doing a lot of work now with people who are in this role of building a portfolio career or building those ideas of how do I become self-employed while I am looking for whatever it is I decide to do, whether it's to stay in self-employed or find a new job. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Linda. I think I'm next. Hello, everyone. I am Mindy Stern, and I'm happy to be here with you today. Portfolio careers, it's the new big word out there. Lots of people are taking on lots of different ways to earn a living. And what if a layoff wasn't the end, but actually the beginning of the rest of your life? I am celebrating my 11th layoff-versary, if there's such a word. I think I just made it up. I was laid off in April 11 years ago, and I'm celebrating in May my 11th year of solopreneurship. So it took me about 4 weeks to decide I'm not looking for another job. I'm going to build my own company and give it a whirl and see how it goes. And so in April 2nd is my 11th anniversary for that. Not everyone can make that decision that quickly. I took a leap of faith. And I like to think I was a little courageous because I really did not know what I was doing. And frankly, between you and me, tell you a secret. I didn't know what my company would look like when I first started. And you don't need to know everything either. What I have done is I have taken my experience and I have created a program where I've broken down all the little pieces of my journey into bite-sized pieces so that you can also get that courage and get that confidence to go out there and do something on your own. I am rolling it out on April 22nd. You are welcome to join me to hear a little bit more of my journey. The link will be in the comments. I just want to share with you so that you also can be inspired. And also maybe if you're ready to take that leap, I'll take it with you. I'm happy to do that. So check out the link in the comments, and please join me on April 22nd, which is the day after my birthday, so it's easy to remember. And I hope to see you there.
Well, good morning, all, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are joining from. I'm Christopher Johnson. The name of my company is Calm Clear Media, and what I do is produce virtual events. I take the tech headache away from the promoters, the organizers, the people who are putting on virtual events. The reason I started my company, my background is IT, and I got laid off from my IT job. And this was the start of the pandemic. Now, my undergrad degree is broadcasting. So Zoom seemed to be the nexus of IT and broadcasting. And I said, well, wait, I can do this. And I have been figuring out the entrepreneurial path since. It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of, gee, I wonder how that works. But maintaining a sense of curiosity and understanding that you don't have to do everything by yourself. You don't have to do everything yourself. Surround yourself with a network, much like the folk in this room here, and figure out how you can get things done. One of the things I offer on a monthly basis is office hours, and that is a free monthly check-in where you can ask your questions about Zoom and streaming and get actionable answers that you can implement right away. So I've placed that information in the chat, and I will pass it over to Carol.
Hello, guys. Thank you. My name is Carol Ward, and I'm with FranNet, that's short for Franchise Network. And what I do is I place people, just like an executive recruiter might place you into a job, I place you in a business. So that's why I don't charge for my services. I've been doing that for over 10 years now. And I met Brenda way back when she was an employee looking at starting her business. And I told her at the time, it's like I knew she'd be able to pull it off as a consultant because she's good at sales, even though I don't think she would ever call it that. Um, but she is very influential. And I think that that's one of the important things if you are looking at being a consultant. I work with people every day who are looking at, if they want to be a business owner. And there's lots of different ways to go into that. It's not always just a consultant or starting from the ground up. So a lot of people like the idea of starting with a proven system. So that's really what I work with people on. I have a tool that I think I'm going to offer up if it may be helpful for you guys. It's called the Entrepreneur Profile. Free of cost. All my services are free. That kind of gets how you're wired from a business ownership standpoint. So if anyone is interested, you can kind of, if you're not interested in franchise ownership, don't worry, I'm not going to get you there. But if you want to just see what it says, it may help you decide which way to go, and I can go over the results with you too. So I'll pop that into to the chat too. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. I'm Diana Stevens, and I am the founder and CEO of Mindful Job Alignment. And what I do is I work with people in transition on an 8-part pathway, part of which includes the consideration for entrepreneurship. One of the things that I teach is that when you're in transition, one of the first things you start looking at is part-time work and what you can do to, as Linda said, utilize your skills, your talents, your hobbies to make money. So I've been working on Mindful Job Alignment for a number of years now, got it launched in 2023, but mine was an outgrowth of being downsized now. As of 2025, I've been downsized counted 7 times since 2004. So the necessity for creating something that would sustain me into my retirement years, and yes, I am of retirement age, was very, very important. So I founded Mindful Job Alignment in 2023. And part of what I work with is I help people brainstorm, is this the right path for them? And then what do they have? What skills do they have that can be monetized to start growing a business? I have to tell you that the entrepreneurial route is not without its challenges in terms of income coming up and down. So if you're a little bit gun shy of that, something we might want to talk about. But it really is, the freedom is unmatched. And when you are in your own entrepreneurial venture, you are not dealing with the sort of Damocles hanging over your head about when is the next downsizing going to occur, because you are in more control of your own destiny. I infuse mindfulness techniques into all of my work for stress relief and for helping get clarity. So I'm going to put my information in the chat, and I encourage you to reach out to me. I still do run a job seeker group on Fridays called Fresh Start Fridays, where we do incorporate some meditation into the session. And I do talk about the idea of entrepreneurism in that meeting, as long as with all my clients. So I invite you to connect with me. I am going to be launching a 10-week accelerator program near the end of April, beginning of May. So please do reach out to get on my email list so that you can be notified of all upcoming events. And I look forward to meeting all of you. Thank you.
Diana. Pam.
Hi. Well, first of all, hello to a bunch of friends that I met. I've only met your face in boxes. Though Brenda and Christopher, we actually have met in real life and do things together, which is wonderful. I'm Pam Lippett of the Hill Street Group, and my business centers around internal and external communications and team training, working with companies to make sure that their messaging and what they're broadcasting is consistent both in their own boardrooms and when they're out and about talking about the companies they work for in a positive but personal method. This is my second full-time venture. I have to be honest, this is not as moving as fast as I had wanted. I kind of count I think we should all just take off the COVID years from the number of years we've been in business, and then it'll sound much better. My first business was a direct mailing company that I bought a little company from someone, and within a couple months quit my job. And that is still going on the side, but it afforded me a great life for over 30 years till the Great Recession in Michigan in 2008. During those years, I guess I was really spoiled because if a company was going out of business, I would say to them, part of your rules, did you miss this when you signed up, is giving me 2 new clients. And here's the funny thing, they all did. And it was never a push for me to grow, to be out there, to be doing things. This world is a little bit different getting into the room. So while I'm doing okay, I'm really looking to do better over the rest of this year. And I'm trying to do that through a podcast that is going to be launching. Put your thumbs up if you've been on my podcast first round. There, I see a couple faces. It's all about communications, and it's going to be launching with the first 4 episodes mid-April. You'll be hearing from me if you're on the list. And I'm the very first name in the list, so make sure you connect with me and make sure you tell me this is how we met.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pam. Joey, I asked you in chat if you wanted to introduce yourself and you didn't answer, so you're being voluntold now to introduce yourself.
I didn't see the chat. Thank you, Brenda. Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. Might have another. Yes.
You got your hair cut.
Oh, I just got a comb back. That's not cut.
Oh, okay. All right.
And,
well, nice to see you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Anyway, good morning, everybody. I'm Joey Himmelfarb. Nice to see some friendly faces that I know and strangers which I'd like to meet. I am an author and a speaker. I'm retired. I'm an author and a speaker. I have been speaking to unemployed professionals for the last 2+ decades, teaching them how to sell themselves in the marketplace because I have experience in sales. I was a salesperson for almost 30 years. Sold telecom, computers, I've sold cars, I've sold real estate, I've sold swimming pools, I do sales training. So in my mind, if you can sell anything, you can sell anything. And if you're looking for work, you're selling yourself. And so I started a business, so to speak, on helping people sell themselves. And it's been a struggle to say the least because, the people I talk to don't have money, they say. So I don't argue anymore with anybody. I don't nickel and dime with anybody anymore. I'm here to just give back and pay it forward. Every now and then somebody steps up and offers me some money, but my why is helping people get from where they are to where they want to be. And I join these calls. I'm on multiple calls, multiple networking calls, just to be around people that are smarter than me and to offer my 2 cents. Because as a New Yorker, I have a lot of opinions. Most of them I can't keep to myself. So it's hard for me to be a coach who's effective and positive. But I'm definitely positive, but it's hard to be effective because there's so much I want to say, but I have to bite my tongue so many times. So, Brenda, thanks for having me on the call and thanks for having me volunteer. And look forward to meeting you all. Thanks.
Oh, I took him off a little early. Sorry about it. I was thinking as we were doing our introductions, I didn't give anybody like time frame. I didn't say 15-second or 1 minute or whatever. And I was thinking, you know how in the Academy Awards and the Oscars, they start playing the music and then the people know, oh, I gotta start wrapping it up. You know what I did? And I didn't mean to, but I had the grid of 4 and somebody started to sound like they were wrapping up. So I brought the next person in and then they kind of saw that I did that. And then they started to wrap. So I think that's what I'm going to do moving forward. But I love it when we hear introductions from all of you, because I think what we heard from each of those introductions is how you got started. And we also heard what you learned along the way too, which is all part of this process, because we didn't just fall out of the sky and become self-employed rock stars. It's definitely an iterative process and there's changes and evolutions. There's some great months, great, like you could not believe the amount of money I made this month kind of months. There are some soft months. I don't like to say bad months because even the soft months are not bad months. I learn from them. I learn what I need to do to pivot. I think about my message. I think about what I want to focus on. The soft months propel me to be better at being self-employed. I know that sounds kind of crazy. You'd rather be doing great every month, but the soft months really cause you to have some introspection about everything. Carol was talking about the fact that we first met when I was an employee. I was an organizational employee. I had my sights set on becoming chief marketing officer, and I was on that path. I was moved up from marketing manager to director of marketing to assistant vice president of marketing. I went through and got my MBA. I actually did, this is crazy. I did a dual MBA, Master of Science in Marketing, because I'm a classic overachiever. I got a dual degree. I went through an executive leadership program with Inform Michigan, where I did a 360 and I learned I'm a little too curt in my emails and I need to soften them. I learned a lot about myself and I was on the path until I wasn't. And many of you can probably relate with this until someone decided that you were no longer a member of the team at the company and you were no longer going to be there. Mine happened during my annual performance review. I was sat down in the first few minutes. I was told, we don't need to do this because we've decided that we're eliminating your position and reconfiguring things. And we'll give you 3 months to find another job. And we're not going to tell anybody. You can just go and find another job and then go off quietly into the sunset. And if that's not what you want to do, you can let us know. And so we don't have to do the review. And I said, you know what? I was in shock, of course, when this happened. I said, I want to do the review. Let's do the review. And about 10 minutes into the review, you know what happened? The tears started coming out. Like all of a sudden, they just started coming because they're there. And it was a very emotional experience. I ended up I left work that day and it was a very emotional process. And that was on a Tuesday. The next morning, I was speaking on a panel of experts about career success. How crazy is that? And nobody knew what was happening in the audience. And I had to be there representing the company that just told me I was no longer part of the leadership team, no longer valued. I had to fake it till I made it, essentially sitting in that seat. But I'm glad that everything happened in the way that it did because I wouldn't be here today. And I wouldn't be as motivated to do events like we're doing here today. By the way, we've got 47 people in the audience for this inaugural event on helping people who are self-employed. And I want to say good morning and welcome to all of you. Hi to Carol, Christopher, Diana, Joey, Kenneth, Linda, Mindy, Pam, Alex, Alexandra, Anne, Cindy, Daniel, David B, David W, Diana S, Diane, Elena, Yvonne, Jared, Joanne, John, Jonathan, Joyce, Judy, Katie, Mark, Marjorie, Mary Ann, Michelle, nice to see you. Hey, Nancy, Paul, Ray, Rick, sir, nice to see you. Sandra R, Sandra W, Scott, Stephanie, Stephen, Tammy, Tina, Vic the Pie Man. I think you do that for me. Thank you, Vic. I don't know if it is or not. Wendy and Zeus. And good morning and welcome to all of you. I'm delighted that you're here. And this is something we will be doing every month. This is something that will be the first Friday every month from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern. We will be simultaneously broadcasting this to YouTube. And I want to let you all know I've got the version of the Zoom account that lets us have 100 participants. Now we're at 46 right now. If we were to go over 100, you're going to have to go into the overflow room. You know how they do that at big events. There's an overflow room. The overflow room is on YouTube. You don't get the Zoom chat and everything like that. So my advice to you is arrive early, especially if we're already generating, almost 50 people on this event, and this is the first one. This is going to gain traction. I want this to be that one event you look forward to going to every month for the networking, for the learning, for the fun, for the motivation that comes with it. All of that said, I want to remind everyone, this is an educational, informational event. This is not legal advice, okay? I am a marketer. I am not an attorney. I am not a CPA. The friends that I brought along here with you are just here to share their personal stories and advice. I always remind you or recommend that you talk to an expert if you're looking for legal advice, if you're looking for financial advice as it relates to taxes and LLC formation and all of that. But that said, we want to share our thoughts and expertise with all of you. So this will be your time during these calls. If you have specific questions like John has, I'll ask you to drop the word question in all caps into chat and then type in the full question. And then John, could you click on the raise hand in the Zoom at the bottom? That helps to bring you up to my top menu bar and we'll pull you up on screen and I'll have you introduce yourself to the group. And then we'll take your questions. Now, if you are working but thinking about a side hustle and you don't want to be up on screen, you can just private message me your question. I won't call on you. I'll read the question out loud. And then what I will do is I will ask our experts who are in the all-star experts who introduce themselves at the beginning to help to answer those questions. So John, I see that you had a question about LinkedIn premium pages. And before we get into your question, John, why don't you unmute yourself and introduce yourself, if you could, to the group. I'm having a really hard time hearing you, John. I'm not sure if your microphone might be turned off or you might be too far away from it. Let's give him a second to try that again. Check and make sure, like sometimes my microphone, my audio source is in the microphone, like input, and sometimes the input and the output change hands and the audio doesn't come in. So we'll try it one more time. If that
Is this
doesn't
better
work,
now?
that's better now. Thank you, John. Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
better microphone. So, when in doubt. I met Brenda because I was in that job seeker time when she was first putting things on. I don't think I missed one for a long time, and she gave me some direct support as well. I am now a part-time pastor at Sanctuary Church in Birmingham, and I am a part-time hospice chaplain for Transitions Hospice. What I'm working on right now is a side gig to provide premarital counseling and also training for people who want to do their own premarital counseling. I've just recently got certified to do that. So it's a niche, but I think it's got some real possibilities, and it's something that I'm passionate about and happy to share. So that's me, I think.
That's great. And then your question was about LinkedIn premium pages. You're wondering who's using premium pages and is it worth it? Is that right?
I know that you've experimented, that's the word, with every rendition of what they have to offer for premium stuff. But this was one I hadn't seen before as I'm working on this page. And does premium page make a difference?
Yeah. So is anyone in the audience using premium pages on LinkedIn? If you are, raise your hand. We're talking about premium pages for your company page. So this is paying for an upgraded version of your company page on LinkedIn. That's different than a premium version of LinkedIn. So is anyone in the group using a premium page? If you are, raise your hand, or you can, just wave your hands like this in the video view if you want, or go into chat and say, I have a premium page. I'm curious if anyone is using it. And my understanding is I think it's still rolling out. I'm not sure if it's available to everyone. You might have to hit like a follower account on your company page. I'm going to pull mine up in the background here to show you how to enable that. But at a high level, first of all, LinkedIn is a business. They're always trying to make money, and you can't fault them. We are all here because we're trying to grow our business, maybe to get that first client or to grow our revenue. So we can't fault them for trying to make money. Now, in this instance, they're adding something to a company page to give you the ability to get some additional features on it, which is different than sometimes the changes they've done in the past. They take away from the free members instead of adding to premium members. Now, I do have it on screen. So what I'm going to do as I answer this is I'm going to share the screen with all of you. Spoiler alert, I don't really recommend paying for your premium page on LinkedIn. So I'm going to cut to the chase. With that said, I want to show you what you will see if you have access to premium pages. So if you have a page on LinkedIn for your company, by the way, you should get a page set up for your company on LinkedIn. It's free to do so. I've got some resources I'll drop into chat in a moment on how to create a free company page and what I recommend that you put in there. After you've got your page set up and you visit it, you're going to be in this admin view. Now, if you want to toggle back and forth and see what the public sees, you can click on View as Member off to the side here, and then you'll see the pretty view. So it almost reminds me, remember when you used to go into the shoe store, like Payless when they existed, and the front of the store was like all the aisles of shoes, and then the back of the store was the shelves with the missing matches of the shoes and the boxes and the containers. This is the pretty front of the store, and this is the ugly back of the store in the admin view. So when you're in the admin view, along the left-hand side, towards the bottom, if you have access, you're going to see this gold, it's like a gold Post-it note. It says try premium pages. Are you seeing that? Give me a thumbs up if you can see this up on screen. Are you all seeing that? Okay, good. So when you click on try premium page, this is their sales page that was created by marketers. I'm a marketer, so I can speak on behalf of our people. I can let you know that we've designed the copy and the layout and the features to try to get you to buy. Okay. Now they're saying kickstart Meller Marketing's business growth with premium. Get a free 1-month trial, cancel anytime. 1-month subscription gives you and your team access. So they're really trying to sell it hard for you. They're saying premium pages helps you grow your page followers 6.7 times faster. Wow, you can see who visited your page. Right now, we can't see that with the free basic version. You can see who's followed your page. I think maybe that's even more interesting than seeing who's visited. I don't know. I'll argue that later. But the other thing is you can grow your page followers faster with auto invites. Now, this is something that is kind of intriguing. What happens is people who have engaged with your page content, meaning they like, they comment, there's a couple of, I think it might just be those things, there might be others, but if they engage with your page content, then LinkedIn is automatically That's a word you can start using automagically. It's going to send them an invite and it would say, Diana Stevens invited you to follow Mindful Job Alignment, or, you know, whatever the page name is. They're going to automatically send that invite out. So that's where it helps you to grow your followers faster. I'm intrigued by that. Am I $99 worth intrigued, which is the monthly fee of that? I don't know that I am. Okay. And then attract and convert more clients with a custom call to action button. I'm not really sold on that one. And that's not, I don't think, the key selling feature. They have some other things that are on here. I have seen some businesses use the custom testimonial. So you can put like a testimonial at the top of the page. Is that going to help you to get business? I don't know. It's kind of a cool thing. Is it $99 worth of cool? I don't know that it is necessarily. And then they do have some free, frequently asked questions on here. With the free trial, you have to put a credit card on file and you got to cancel before day 30. Otherwise, they're going to hit your card. Okay. So there's some information inside there. There's no refunds. So, if you sign up, you don't like it, you don't get your $99 back after the second month. So at a high level, I don't think it's worth it to pay for premium pages. I think it could be worth it if you're a large enterprise organization, if you've got a lot of budget to spend. I don't know that it's the average person who's self-employed who's going to benefit from that. I think you're throwing money at LinkedIn, honestly. So that's my answer there. But feel free to throw money at LinkedIn. Prove me wrong. Come back and tell us this is working. I'm getting all kinds of clients from it. I just don't think it's $99 worth of value personally within that. So there you have it. John, is that helpful for you?
It is. And, now that you walked through the steps, that doesn't seem particularly relevant to me. I'm not necessarily looking for long-term followers, but more short-term engagement. And so, yeah, I that makes tons of sense. And you've helped me not throw money at LinkedIn before. So that's kind of what I thought. But if it was something different, I was happy to find out. So thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. All right. So I'm going to remove the spotlight. I'm going to bring us all up into gallery view up on screen here. So we are, almost 50 people in the room here. And I think for the most part, many of you are self-employed. There may be people in the room who are thinking about self-employment. We all did our introductions in chat earlier, and hopefully you've dropped your LinkedIn URLs and everything. I'm scanning through the chat to see if there's any additional questions that are coming in. But here's what I want to do. I want to help you. So help me help you. I'm channeling my inner Jerry Maguire right now. Help me help you. I want you to go into chat right now and type in at least one service that you offer. It can be 3 if you want, but let's at least put one service. So for example, my friend Rick Wachowski, who's inside chat, I know he can do copywriting, he can do editing. There's a lot of things that he can do. There may be somebody on this call right now who needs a copywriter or who needs an editor. So let's all go into chat right now and type in at least one, but maybe up to 3 things that you do. So I'm going to type in LinkedIn coaching, marketing consulting, and what would be a third thing that I can do? Public speaking, because maybe you come across someone who needs you for an event. So go into chat, type in at least one thing that you do as a service for your business, or maybe up to 3. Let's all do that right now. I'm going to give everyone a moment to type that into chat. This is a really great opportunity. Pam Libet does communication strategy. Like there might be somebody who is looking for help with communication strategy. Who needs help with that? Nancy Steinberg does Pedia. I use PR and media together, which by the way is Pedia, right? PR, media relations, and advocacy. Christopher Johnson, he is a virtual event producer. He also does public speaking. Of course he does public speaking. Did you hear his voice, right? Stephanie does marketing, project management, operations. Joanne, data analytics. Vic, technical editing, writing, some calligraphy. Very cool. I like that. Mindy offers career transition service, LinkedIn training, be your own boss. I don't mind if there are other LinkedIn trainers and coaches who talk about LinkedIn training. I'm of the abundance mentality. There is more than enough work to go around for all of us. For some people, Mindy may be the ideal person to work with, or they might say, Mindy's not my type of pie exactly. I think I'm going to go work with Brenda instead. So we can refer business back and forth to each other. I see Marjorie is saying she offers self-publishing support for nonfiction authors. Marjorie, I'm going to pull you up on screen if you're able to. Can you explain to us what self-publishing support means? Because I think a lot of people are thinking as it relates to publishing that you have to like pitch the big publishing houses to write your own book. And I am a self-employed person who's published a book, so I think I know what you're going to say, but can you explain to us what does that mean, self-publishing?
Of course. It means that if you're a business and you've got life skills and lessons learned that you want to use as a marketing tool or credibility for getting speaking, that you need to get a book out. And I have editors. I am a developmental editor, manuscript reviews, book design. I am not a publishing house. I provide trusted contractors and program management so that you can get your book published and you keep all your royalties. Not a publishing house, but you can get this done within a relatively short time with the self-publishing process as opposed to 18, 24 months that traditional publishing requires.
That's great. Thank you. And thank you, Marjorie, for letting me pull you on the spot and voluntolding you to come over to the gallery view there. But I thought that was interesting. And I think there may be other people in the group here as well. When you become self-employed and you start to focus on your area of expertise, eventually you might come to that point that either you want to write a book on your own and you're like, where do I even get started? Or people start saying, wow, Marjorie, this was so great. Do you have a book? Can I read your book? Like, what's your book about? Where can I find your books? Are they on Amazon? Are they on your website? Like, where can I find? For me, it was kind of the combination. I wanted to write a book and people started approaching me saying, where can I buy your book? And I'm like, well, I don't have one yet. And I felt like these are people saying, here's like what I want to give you. I want to pay you money for a book. Where can I pay that money to get that book from you? And I would say, no, I don't want your money. That's okay. Thank you. But self-publishing is definitely a viable option. I'm imagining you're self-published yourself. Is that fair to say?
Many, many books and have worked with many clients. Yes. Yep.
Oh,
I can put my website that has
Please.
all sorts of things to there. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, feel free to drop links in chat. And if any of you others on the call, if you have a book, feel free to drop the link for your book into the chat as well. Personally, I recommend having a website page on your website that you can describe your book and give people instructions on where they can purchase it or download it if it's an audiobook or whatnot. I've put an example inside the chat. Feel free to steal my ideas, by the way. Go to my website, look at the page I just put in there. If you're writing a book, publishing a book, want to sell it, create a page like I did and check out the page and kind of see what I did. I have a little video in there, a fun description in there, links to purchase it on Amazon, my audiobook. I'm starting to now go through, is it Lulu Publishing? I can't think of the name of it, but I'm looking at maybe starting to sell direct through my website again. Got a link that you can give me an author review. So feel free, if you like my ideas, steal them. I'm fine with that. Steal the ideas. Now, don't send people to my book page. Send them to your book page. You can send them to my book page if you want, but then you're selling my book and not your book. And that seems kind of silly. At any rate, feel free to share ideas as those are coming to all of you. Now, with this call, I'm calling this VIP office hours for those that are considering self-employment. And I'm curious, with everyone that's on the call here already, are you self-employed already or are you considering it? So if you are self-employed already, type in yes in all caps. If you're considering it, just put a question mark. I'm going to make this really easy for you. So if you're already self-employed, put yes. If you're considering it, put a little question mark. It's a little technique to make it easier. So you don't have to type in, I'm considering it, right? And considering, is it S-I-D or E-D? And just question mark. Question mark if you're considering it. Those of you who've been a part of my VIP job seeking community for a while will know the term that I use, experience rich, right? I don't like to say mature job seeker or mature candidate or whatnot. I like to say experience rich. And I feel like a lot of us who are experience rich, and I'm just going to draw a line in the sand what that means. I would say age 40 plus, 50 plus, 60 plus. Can be anywhere in there, but you're not young. You know, you're experience rich. And experience rich, what we're focusing in here is on all of those experience and knowledge that you've gained throughout your career all these years, and now you're in this realm of, am I still marketable as a candidate? Is age discrimination happening? How do I avoid age discrimination? Like all these things. And you might also be struggling with finding a job, and maybe you're starting to think about, maybe I make a job for myself. Maybe I become self-employed for myself. Now, when we did that exercise of dropping into the chat the things that you offer, services and things like that, I want to ask you a question. Is there a place that people can go and purchase that service, that expertise from you? So, for example, Paul says computer consulting. Paul, you don't need to answer this, and this is really just a rhetorical question for all of us. Where can I go to buy computer consulting for you, or to learn more about that process? Is there a website link? Is there a discovery call? Can I go directly to your website and pay you money right now and sign up for computer consulting? Jared mentions he's a CPA, he prepares taxes and small business accounting. Where can we go to learn more about that? Okay. So is there a website link? Is there a discovery call? Like, where can we go to get started on the process for that? And I don't want you to say, well, just reach out to me and I'll fill you in on it. Because you know what? We as human beings, we're not that much different. If we don't know you that well, we might feel not comfortable yet reaching out to Linda Brubaker to ask her about the things that she said. I want to do my own research first. So here's what we're going to do. And tell me if I'm wrong on this. Tell me if I'm wrong. Here's what we're going to do. If we hear that Linda Brubaker does a certain thing, Linda, can you unmute yourself and remind me, like, what is one of your top services or top offerings? I'm going to use you as an example here.
Sure. So for the entrepreneur group, for job seekers, what I do is my top service is the free job support group, but in addition to that, coaching. But for entrepreneurs or those who want to be, what my skill is helping you to figure out what those skills are that you can offer to somebody else, and then putting it in terms that make sense. What is it? What's in it for them rather than what's in it for you?
Okay. And is there a place on your website where I can go and book that as a service? If it's a coaching
You can
call
book a discovery call, and from the discovery call, you can book services.
Okay. What's your website link?
I don't have a website yet. It's down.
Okay. Is it on your LinkedIn profile?
Is there a website on the profile?
On your LinkedIn profile, we can find this discovery call link.
It is. It's
okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. You all see what I was doing there, right? Like, we're trying to get back to, and Linda, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here. I'm just trying to get back to, are you creating a path for people to walk down to do business with you? If you let them wander out in the woods and there's no path, they might fall off the cliff. They might get directed by the lake over there and they veer off and then they've lost you. So you want to create a clear path for them. Most people do one of two things. If they've heard about you in terms of your service and they're thinking about doing business with you, before they even reach out to you, they will look at your website. So they'll do a Google search for your name or your business and they'll try to find your website. The other thing that they'll do, especially if your services are in the professional realm, they'll go on LinkedIn. They'll look you up on LinkedIn and on your LinkedIn profile. So I want to challenge you to go onto your LinkedIn, and I'm going to pull mine up right now. Go onto your LinkedIn profile. Do this today, okay? And I want you to look at your profile from top to bottom without clicking on contact info. Let me share this up on screen here. I think it's coming up here. Without clicking on contact info, because most people, if they're visiting your profile, they're not yet connected with you, so they're not going to be able to see your contact information. Can you find a path that people can follow to do business with you if you're self-employed? Mine right at the top here, want help using LinkedIn? You click on that. It's going to take you over to my Contact Us page where you can fill out a form and I will reach back out to you. So that's one path of doing it as an example. Inside the about statement, you should have something in there as well. Mine is sprinkled with all kinds of good links inside there, depending on the services you're looking at. Featured section, you should have at least one of the 3 links that are here being a path to do business with you. Really important here, okay? As you scroll into your experience section, do you have at least one call to action? Could be email address, could be website, could be phone number, but is there one path that people can follow to do business with you, okay? So just thinking about, if you're trying to get this process started of being self-employed, let's not make it difficult for people. Because if you make it difficult for people, they're going to leave your site and look at the next person. Or if they're doing Google searches for your services, they can't find you. You know who they're finding? Your competitors. And they're going, oh, this person looks interesting. And then they clicked on that and they're going down that path instead. And then you've lost them. in terms of that opportunity. So if you're already self-employed, you've got some service offerings, make sure that you've got a clear path. For those of you who are experience rich, let me talk to you right now. Yeah, you can totally do this. This self-employed thing is like a thing that people do. Like we do this. There's all the people in the room here that we are doing this. I am curious, for those of you who are self-employed, you're already running your business. I want you to go into chat right now and type in I if it was intentional, meaning you left your corporate job and this is the thing that you wanted to do, left by choice. Now, in my scenario, had I not been sat down for my annual performance review at that time, if I had found a job on my own, I would probably be a chief marketing officer at another organization. If that sit down hadn't happened, I probably would have stayed with the organization until I found something else. So that wouldn't have been intentional. I chose the timeline. I ended up going back a week later and I said, today's my last day, and I'm proud of that. But it wasn't intentional. It was unintentional. So there are people that are intentional and then there are people that are unintentional. So I didn't intend to leave corporate, but here I am. I am self-employed. So go into chat if you are self-employed and type in I. If you left on your own, maybe you never worked in corporate, it was intentional for you to be self-employed. This was your path that you chose. Or was it unintentional? And I am just guessing we're going to see more U's than we are going to see I's, because I think that's what happens with many of us. Again, if you chose to leave corporate on your own timeline and by choice, they didn't say we're no longer needing your services here. I want you to type I in chat. And I want you to type the letter U if you are self-employed and it was unintentional. It was the universe nudged you forward. Do you like that expression? The universe nudged me forward and it pushed you into a new path. For many of you, you can probably relate to this. When I left corporate, this was in August of 2017. I took about a week and I cried as much as I need to cry. I got everything out and I hunkered down at home with my kids and my family. And then I started getting out there and I started networking and coffee events. And I was already interviewing. So I kept interviewing and interviewing and interviewing until people started approaching me saying, I heard you're no longer there. Since you have some time, can you help me out with copywriting? Since you have some time as a creative director, can you help to create a brand for me? Since you have some time, I'm trying to look at other examples here in the room, if I can give examples. Since you have some time, can you help me with presentation skills, Pam? You know, you're going to have people coming up to you when you're unemployed. And if you have this skill set, if you've been, you know, showcasing these skill sets through LinkedIn and other places, people are going to start approaching you. Since you have some time, maybe that should be the name of a book. God, that sounds good. Since you have some time, right? Can you do this? And then it's unintentionally, you start taking things on. And then maybe you set up the LLC for tax purposes, which is what I did. It was a side hustle. It was never supposed to be a thing. It was, oh, Meller Marketing. That's fun. It's like an alliteration. We'll put Meller Marketing as an LLC until it wasn't just a fun thing. I started going, oh my gosh, I can make a business out of this. This is how those people do that. They start putting things together and packaging things up and letting people know my door's open. You can come to me if you want help with self-publishing. You can come to me if you want help with creative direction. You can come to me if you need copywriting and technical support or computer support. And then you got a business. That's where the people all started. So let me see inside chat. I see one eye and use. Everybody's saying you. Unintentional was unintentional. So I want to give those of you hope who are in career transition right now that are thinking about becoming self-employed. It's totally possible. Is it for everyone? Absolutely not. And I want to ask our all-stars, I'll see if any volunteers want to answer this question. Self-employment, I want you to answer this question. Self-employment is not for everyone. What advice do you have to share? Self-employment is not for everyone. Maybe you want to share who it is for. Maybe you want to share who it's not for and why. Self-employment is not for everyone. I want you to answer that question for our all-stars. Raise your hand just like Diana's done, and I'm going to bring you up on screen and I'll have you answer the question. Self-employment is not for everyone. You can share with us who it is for and why and who it's not for, whatever you'd like to do. But I know all of you probably have a story that you can share because you've done that. You've been there, you've done that, right? So Diana, I'm going to start with you. Go ahead. Self-employment is not for everyone. What would you say?
I would say that if you are very dedicated to a company mentality, and if you are very establishment, quote unquote, oriented, entrepreneurism is probably not the best path because you like the steadiness of a regular paycheck and everything being in a nice little box that's organized. And entrepreneurism is extremely creative, and you have to love the freedom and be willing to work with the ups and downs. Because if you want that steadiness, and if you really enjoyed trying to carve a corporate path, and you really enjoy that whole corporate atmosphere, entrepreneurism may not offer you enough structure.
All right, good. Thank you, Dinah, for sharing that. All right, Mindy, what would you say? Self-employment is not for everyone. What do you think?
Yeah, so one of the things that we need to look at, and I saw a question in the chat, so hopefully we're going to give a little bit of an answer there, is your financial preparedness. You need to understand that entrepreneurship is a very up and down cyclical road. It's like a roller coaster. And Brenda mentioned earlier, sometimes you're going to have great months and other times you're not going to have those great months. And so having a financial base to begin is really, really important. And so when I talk to people who are thinking about it, I tell them the best time to start is while you're still getting some kind of paycheck, so that you have that freedom to say, yes, I love my job, but I am thinking ahead and I want to build something for myself and start building on that while you still have something coming in. For me, when I got laid off, I was given a severance. And I took that severance and I said, I'm going to take this severance and I'm going to use it to build my company. You need to really think about that. And I know it's hard to hear, but you need to think about how you're going to support whatever you're supporting right now and maintain that income. So that's very important. On the other side, you need to have confidence. You need to be self-motivated completely. Nobody's going to push you. You need to be able to talk about what your passion is, and you have to know what you want to be talking about. So knowing what your strengths are, super important. That's a great beginning. But then thinking about the financial aspect is also a piece of the puzzle, for sure.
Thank you, Mindy. All right, Pam Lippett, self-employment is not for everyone. What would you say?
It is totally not for everyone. So I would put this in the category of people who are busy people are more successful. And I say that because when do you ask someone for help that you know is going to do it for you? You ask a busy person because the busy person makes time for the bigger thing. That's always, I see Brenda nodding her head. She knows me well. So I can say yes, I'm in a board, I'm on a national board. And the men always say, nothing personal against the men in this room, the men always default to, well, I have a full-time job. The women who work full-time, I have never said that. When I make a commitment, it's because I've weighed out the pros and cons and what I want to do and where my heart is lying and make the commitment. But I never throw it back in someone's face. And I think that relates a lot to being self-employed. You have to be able to get up the next day. It's funny that we wear sweats now because in my first half of my, self-employment, I never wore sweats because the days I put on comfy clothes was the day I was called to meet with the most high-end fashion clients I had. I don't like to get redressed during the day. So I like to get dressed once. So those are the things that you have to be able to push through to get all these bells and whistles put together.
Thank you, Pam. Love it. All right, Carol, what would you say?
I would say that there is a spectrum of people, and there's people who want to color outside the lines on one end. Those are great entrepreneurs. Usually, you're going to come up with your own idea for a business. The other side are the people in corporate who really only like to follow the rules. Okay. Entrepreneurism is probably not for you. But there is this area in the middle where you don't have to have, like, if you're looking at buying into a business, you could buy an existing business, you could buy a franchise where you can follow somebody else's systems and processes. You have to be able to follow some guidelines, but you still need to be entrepreneurial. But there is a spectrum in that as well. So there are many options. No matter how you do this, you need to invest in yourself. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, you're probably not going to get there. I find, and we're talking about men and women here, I find men are much more willing to invest in themselves. There's ways to take advantage of your retirement, that kind of thing, where you don't have taxes or penalties. I can talk with people about that if they're interested in that. And even if you are doing something where you're bootstrapping, you got to take the time, right? And you may not be making money for a while. So there's different ways to look at that. But you have to be willing to take some kind of a risk, but you don't have to be a risk taker. In fact, there's some data on the self-made millionaires out there. They're willing to take a calculated risk. They're not just willy-nilly, out there jumping off a cliff risk. They're taking calculated risk. So that's the thing to think about too.
Carol. All right, Linda, what would you
Okay,
say?
so let me add a couple of things. If you're an entrepreneur, one of the things you have to be willing to do is wear lots of different hats because you don't necessarily have that support team that you can go to. And you have to be willing to jump from one role to another. The other thing is that some entrepreneurs go into it thinking, I'm getting into this because I love what I do, while still forgetting that part of what you do as an entrepreneur is selling. And many of us are good at what we do. We love what we do, the actual work. The selling part is not so much, but as an entrepreneur, that's one of the things you have to be willing to do. And the third thing that I don't know that's been mentioned, because I don't want to repeat people, many people go into entrepreneurship because they think they're going to have all this extra time. As an entrepreneur, you can, to some extent, develop your own schedule, but you're going to find that if you're doing it well and actually trying to build and grow your business and work with your clients, it may take more time than you originally hoped. And while you can schedule and say, I'm not going to be working today, it means you are going to be working over the weekend instead. So you have to be willing to make those changes as well. Recognize that.
Great. I love that advice. Thank you all, the All Stars, for sharing that, sharing little stories, putting you on the spot impromptu. But it's not for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart, and it does take work and it does take dedication. You don't have a boss telling you what to do. And I see a couple of questions in chat, like, how do you know if you're going to be making enough money to replace your salary? I mean, you don't know until you do. It sounds kind of crazy, but is there a market for your services? Are people willing to pay that? And then do you know when you need to raise your prices? When I first started doing LinkedIn coaching, I had a 2-hour coaching package. I was charging $150 for that 2-hour coaching package. I would meet people in person. We'd sit down next to each other with our laptops and do all this stuff. And I had a friend, her name was Amanda, and she did a coaching session with, she's like, you're not charging enough for this. You need to raise your rates. And I said, to like 175. Like, I probably said it like that too. Like, should I charge 175 with it? And she's like, you need to be charging a lot more than 150 because this is such great value. You're giving 2 hours of your time for these. Like, that's $75 an hour, and now for that same package, I charge $750 for that same package. And I don't have any qualms about charging that. There's tons of value. It's not just the 2 hours. I do a profile audit. I give a profile resource guide. I do a 30-minute follow-up call. But you have to know your value and you have to have confidence in what you do. But more importantly, are you serving a need in the market that people are willing to pay for? Now, today's call was our inaugural call for this topic. I see that there's interest, so we're going to continue on with this. In future sessions, what I might do is ask the All-Stars to do a brief talk, or maybe we'll do a panel discussion on different topics and things like that. So if you have ideas on things that you'd like us to cover, do let us know. This will be once a month because you know why? This is a free sample. Did you know that? We're all giving you a free sample today. We're giving you bits of our expertise. And I want to come back to, I think it was Carol who's talked about knowing when to invest. It's really important when you're self-employed. You got to be very careful with your money. And I've seen people make mistakes where they invest too much too early and they're outsourcing a lot and they're hiring a VA team and they are not even bringing in money yet. You don't want to do that because then you're going to be out of business before you even are up and running. But you also don't want to be waiting too long to start thinking about finding an expert. And I know there's an expression, and I can't remember exactly the wording of it, but it's like you'll go faster by hiring someone. Essentially, if you pay, you'll pay attention to, right? If you pay an expert to help you with something, you're going to pay attention, you're going to do it, versus I know this is not just me. I go out and I find an answer for something on Google or YouTube, and I don't always do it. I know what I should be doing, but I don't do it. But then I pay for Pam or Linda or Carol or someone, and I'm like, well, I'm paying for it. I should do the work because I'm paying for it. I want to get that ROI that's associated with that. I'm going to start
There's
to
a
wrap
great
us
book
up.
called
We are over. What's that,
have you,
Carol?
have you heard of the book uh, Who, Not How? I would
Yeah.
recommend it. It's along those lines.
Oh, good. I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to start to wrap us up, but I do want to share with you up on screen. I have created on LinkedIn a new private unlisted group. It's called VIP Office Hours for those considering self-employment. I'm going to drop the link inside of chat right now. You'll only get this link if you are on one of these live calls. And I want to let you know it's a private unlisted group. Private means you can't find it in the group's directory. You can't search for it and find it. You can only find it if I've given you the link. So I'm being very selective on who I bring inside the group because I'm keeping this for the right people for the right reasons, right? I want to keep the wrong people out, the salespeople, the people that are looking to prey on us. I want to make sure it's the right people for the right reasons. Private means you can't find it unless I've given you the link. Unlisted means your group activity will not show on your profile publicly. It only shows inside the group. You can see other group members' activity possibly in your homepage feed, but only if they are members of the group. So it's not public on there. Now, when you request to join, now this is kind of like our secret clubhouse. Okay, so when you request to join, you're going to knock on the door. I'm going to look through the little peephole and see who you are. And if I recognize your name from this call, I will admit you inside the group. I'm just doing a quick once over on that. And then me clicking on this and approve is like me opening the door inside the group in here. As with those of you who were on my VIP Job Seeker office hours, this is also our flagpole. So remember when we were back in school and they would practice fire drills and you'd know how to do a fire drill in school, get in line and you'd exit the school and whatnot. But they would say you need to have a fire drill at home with your family and you need to have a meeting place outside of your house, not on your front lawn because the fire trucks and things are going on, but like maybe down the street, find a flagpole on your neighbor's lawn that you can meet at. So this is like our flagpole. Now, I'm pretty good at multitasking, don't get me wrong. But after I start these calls, I'm pretty much here and on the call. So if you can't get onto the call, you can't find the Zoom link, something's not working, I'm not going to respond to you until afterwards. So if you can't figure out how to get in, a link isn't working, go inside the group. There will be somebody else in the group that will say, here's the Zoom link to come on. Or maybe it's one of those weeks where we're going to have over 100 people and you need to go to the overflow room on YouTube. Someone will share the link in here. By the way, Diana, I'm getting an error message for you. Probably this is for Diana Strong Collie, probably because you are already a member of over 100 groups on LinkedIn. So I can't admit you into our clubhouse, into our group until you leave one of your other groups. I want to let you know that's what's happening there. But inside the group, again, this is our flagpole. I've already created one post that says, welcome to the group. Please introduce yourself here. I will encourage you to feel free to share resources and information inside the group. So feel free to post inside the group. I will be posting as well and I'll be commenting. I would encourage you to do the same. This is going to be a great place where we share resources in between calls and events on here. We will be meeting the first Friday every month from 10 to 11 a.m. If you registered for today through Add Event, they will automatically, there's that word again, be added to your calendar as a reoccurring event every month on the first Friday. It's the same Zoom link that we'll be using for all of 2025. Invite your friends. If you know of other people that are on the fence about becoming self-employed, have them come in on the group, get a little bit of inspiration. And I'll also add in that the YouTube playlist to the landing page where you can go to register to learn more about it. And I'll just leave you with this link. So if you go to mellermarketing.com/Friday VIP, I'm going to drop the link into chat in just a second here. You can get the link to register and you can share this link with other people as well. I am going to start promoting this maybe once or twice a month on LinkedIn. If you see my post talking about the group and you found great value, hey, I'd love it if you could share this with others. And this will be on the podcast probably on Monday or Tuesday of next week. So if you're interested in checking out that podcast, check out my podcast. You know what my podcast is called? It's called Enthusiastically Self-Employed. You know why it's called that? Because when I first became self-employed and I got a taste of this business and I started realizing, gosh, I can do this for myself. There's a couple things I miss about working in corporate. Not many though. I am enthusiastically self-employed. I am motivated to be successful in my business being self-employed, so I don't ever have to go back to corporate. And that seems crazy because I was like CMO. I wanted to become a chief marketing officer. I have detached so much from that dream and attached myself to this new self-employment path. My podcast is called Enthusiastically Self-Employed. I offer marketing, LinkedIn, and business tips. So if you're a podcast listener, come on out and watch the show. I would highly encourage you to do so. With that said, I want to thank all of you for making this a part of your first Friday of the month. And I encourage you to join us again next month. And thank you especially to the All-Stars for introducing themselves and for being a part of the call. Diana, Christopher, Joey, Kenneth, Linda, Mindy, Pam. I'll include Marjorie in the group too, because I pulled you up on screen. And I want to thank all of the rest of you for joining us today. Alexandra and Daniel, David, Diane S., Diane M., Elena, Yvonne, Jared, shifting around here, Joanne, John, Joyce, Lori, Marianne, Michelle, Nancy, Paul, Ray, Rick, Sandra R., Stephen, Tammy, Tina, Vic the Pie Man, Wendy, and Zeus. Go off and have yourself a wonderful Friday. Make sure that you download the chat before you leave here today. I'm also going to put a PDF of the chat inside our group on LinkedIn if you are interested in seeing that. I'll keep this open for about 5 minutes. I'm going to stop the YouTube.